Welcome to the Diane McClay Show, empowering life through choice. Get ready to discover new perspectives, motivation, and balance through Diane's compassionate storytelling and insightful discussions. Whether you're feeling stuck and discouraged, or curious and looking for more possibilities, Diane has your back, and she's ready to take you on a journey of self-discovery and expansion. Choice is powerful, and so are you. The Diane McClay Show starts now.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Diane McClay Show, where we are here to help you empower your life through choice. I'm so honored to have our new guest and a friend of the Transformation Talk Radio Network and the Cornelia Stephanie Media Group. Tom Paladino is here. We've had a conversation on the Shift Network earlier before, and we're going to extend the conversation today about scalar energy. Tom is a researcher of 25 years and a humanitarian who is experienced in developing healing techniques and design to help people all over the world recover from pathogenic infection and experience true health in wellness. So that's a big mouthful. Tom, welcome in. We've had a conversation before on the Shift podcast with Trish Campbell, you and I. Tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and why this topic of scalar light is important to you and why we need to put it on our radar today.
Okay, Diane, again, a pleasure to speak with you. What am I speaking about? Scalar energy. Some people call that 0-point energy. It's a new technology. Let's put it that way. Scalar energy is a new technology. Why is that important? It's going to change our lives. Like any technology, we have to embrace technology. It's a gift. It's a gift from God. And I'm a scalar energy researcher, and I see the merit of this new technology, this new and emerging science, scalar energy, in which I've been able to harness scalar energy thus far and show demonstrably improvements in human health by way of a scalar energy technology. That's why it's important. And there's so many other things that we can do with this energy. So we're going to speak about how scalar technology can change the world for the better. And in particular, I have a few, if you will, discoveries, a few techniques that I think are at the present moment proving to be beneficial to people around the world.
Well, I'm always excited to hear about new things. And in the intro, part of my job is I feel like I'm called to the world to help people discover new things about themselves, change their perspective, shift how they see things, and start to ask questions so that they can live a better life. So you and I are in alignment on that way. Right. Let's back up a little bit and let's just, for anybody who didn't catch the Shift podcast or is new to this conversation, give a super simple explanation of scalar energy or scalar light. Let's bring us in there and then we'll go.
It is very simple. It's sunlight or starlight. Scalar energy is the primal energy of the universe. It's the initial energy of the stars. And that's what I'm working with, scalar energy. And when you work with this energy, it's not electricity. What it can do is just fascinate. When you control scalar energy, you really have a doorway to controlling nature.
Well, and in our last show, you gave an example of one of your somebody you have been studying. I think it was Hieronymus, is that right? Who talked about the essentially growing plants in the dark with a copper wire using scalar light. So I'd like you to explain that real quick. But why is this so unique and different? I know you're saying it's new technology, but if this has been around forever, why are we just now hearing about it?
Yeah, why are we just now hearing about this? Much of this technology is suppressed because this technology is a better and less expensive method to achieve an end. If you're looking at electricity or the existing, what you would consider the military industrial complex, many of what we're trying to achieve with technology is expensive or cumbersome, or it really is involved, whereas scalar energy is a direct approach, and hence it's very inexpensive and it's safe. Now, why aren't we using that direct approach with scalar energy? Why are we doing this roundabout method with electromagnetic energy? Well, with electromagnetic energy, there's a lot of control from corporations and governments who can control people by way of the military industrial complex, as opposed to scalar energy, which is a direct control over nature. And you can leave to the side government and big business. You don't need them.
Okay. Well, it's good to hear. I could understand why that might be threatening to systems that have been put into place for a while. So, do you mind telling us a little bit, backing up a little bit more, and telling our listeners like why this came to your attention? What was the aha that you've been working on this for 25 years? Sounds like it's a passion of yours. Sounds like it's a calling even. Can you share with us a little bit about the research you've been doing and then what led you into it? Because I'm kind of curious about that story.
Right. I have practical experience for the past 25 years, at least 25 years working with scalar energy instruments. Now, why? Why would I do that? Because I see the merit. I see the upshot. I see the results. What was my aha moment? When I was studying the great scientist Nikola Tesla, and I knew that Tesla was working with scalar energy instruments. And what Tesla could achieve with scalar energy is unparalleled. And to this day, nobody has matched him. Why? Because it's an advanced type of technology. What is scalar energy? It's a superior way of performing a function, of performing work, of achieving a work function. Why do we use technology? It performs work. What do machines do? It performs a task, a work function. Why am I so emboldened with scalar energy? It's a direct way to control nature. It's a consummate way in which you can control nature as opposed to electricity, which is really an oblique command over nature, whereas scalar energy is a direct, consummate control over nature. So Tesla saw that, I see that. Scalar energy is the energy of the future. Scalar energy will allow us to master our destiny. Scalar energy will allow us to have mastery over nature. Once you have mastery over nature, then you can command nature to do whatever you want.
So give an example of what changing nature, mastering nature means. That has a pretty broad perspective. So
yes, it is.
So narrow it down for us. How can this be applied? And then what's the delivery system or what's the mechanism that you have in place to kind of capture that system and that task accomplishing procedure process?
What's in place? Well, these are scalar energy instruments. They are unique instruments. They're custom built. I possess those custom built instruments. I have developed them. And one of the functions of these instruments that I've perfected, now there's many things you can do with scalar energy. Well, one of the functions is we can break down microbes, viruses, bacteria, fungi. We can break apart microbes. And we do that on a regular basis. In other words, I have control, I have mastery over germs, microbes. Well, what does that mean? That opens up a door of prosperity to mankind to be microbe-free, germ-free, or at least to have a consummate way of addressing pathogenic disease and to be able to break down and eliminate, eradicate a pathogen. Now, we do have that ability with drugs, but drugs are cumbersome, they're expensive, and they don't necessarily work all the time. Whereas scalar energy always works, it's safe, there is no chemical reaction, and it's pennies on the dollar. It's not expensive whatsoever.
Is it only pathogenic illnesses that you are focused on or that this light can impact, or is that just the beginning?
That's just the beginning. I believe we'll use this energy in the future to address genetic dysfunction, to reprogram our genome, if you will, and eventually we should be able to use this to correct a cancer cell. And if you can, if you will, correct, reprogram a cancer cell into being a normal cell, then you should be able to cure cancer with this type of energy. So again, it's a consummate energy, and I keep stressing that because it allows us to control the intelligence of nature. So scalar energy is an intelligence, and we can control atomic and molecular forms with this intelligence. Now, if you can create a molecule or break down a molecule with intelligence, and you can create what is beneficial, say a micronutrient, or you can break apart a virus or a toxin or a pollutant that is harmful. And that's what we're doing with this type of technology. It's quite promising. And I've been able to perfect this process over the past 25, close to 30 years now with instrumentation. This is not a psychic event. I have instruments, and this is a repeatable process. And hopefully the world will pay attention to what I've done, to my work. That's the key. I want to get this out there to the general public, hence our podcast today.
Right. And we're so glad that you're the scout, right? In our world, we have scouts that are they're either the first ones to fall because everybody thinks they're a lunatic, or they're the last ones to be celebrated because nobody realized how brilliant and meaningful they were. In our last conversation, you gave the reference that there was a time that we didn't have computers. There was a time we didn't have, handheld computers that allowed us to communicate. There was a time we didn't have a light bulb. So to our listeners that might be pausing and, they're like, the skeptic is full on firing right now. Skeptic doesn't mean show me all the evidence and then I'll believe. Skepticism really means allow me to be open to receive information. And so good, bad, or ugly, we're asking our listeners to really pause and think about this. This is new. We're not saying that the concept has been around for years, and the scalar energy has been infinitely around, and we know it to be called in other cultures like chi or prana or Reiki or Qigong, or you called it elliptical energy. I think that's the word, right? Did I?
Elliptic, go on.
Elliptic,
sure.
Sorry. Elliptical might be my exercise brain thinking. But we have heard of this before. It's just not in the terms that you're using. You also,
Correct.
In our last interview on the Shift podcast, which I would encourage people to download off of their Apple or Google Play Store, is because that was an hour-long conversation, and we really broke this thing down. We stepped way back and made this conversation very digestible and very simple for people to relate to, and I think it's important that they check that out. But where I'm going with this is if you're a woman and you get kind of a weird feeling about somebody, Tom has translated to me that that's scalar energy. That's divine knowledge, divine light, right? Right, Tom?
That's correct. Why? It's intelligence. So some people have that intuition. They have that hunch, if you will. All of that is really that gift from God, which is scalar intelligence. What am I saying? Scalar energy is intelligence. They are the instructions of the universe. And the way we think and our emotions all play into that paradigm.
So let's talk a little bit about the instrumentation. How does it work? What is the process? And how is it delivered? I guess that's one thing that we didn't get to on our last podcast. We talked about what you do on your end, but what happens on my end if I'm receiving the treatment or I'm receiving the scalar energy? Talk me through it.
So we're working with unique instruments, and our approach is unique. Now, when I work with people by way of their photograph. This is my photograph. I would actually take a photograph of a person and place it inside an instrument. So there is no in-person session with scalar energy. I access your quantum realm, your informational realm, by way of your photograph. And what I've discovered is we can, by way of your photograph, we can balance your brain waves, we can balance your chakras. We're able to break down the molecular bonds of a pollutant or a toxin or an infectious agent, such as a virus or a bacterium, all by virtue of the fact that we work with your photograph, and your photograph is the instructions or the informational connection between you and the photograph. Meaning what? Your photograph is energetically alive, and I access that quantum realm by way of your photograph. Now, put all of that into motion. This is the easy way to balance the brain waves. This is the way that I've demonstrated time and time again the direct way to balance brain waves and chakras, the easy and direct way to break apart and to eradicate viruses, bacteria. All of that should really resonate with people, that there's a simple method to access quantum health by way of your photograph. This is safe, easy, and it has been demonstrated thousands of times to work. Now,
So I
that's
send you
what
my
I'm trying to inculcate.
right. So I send you my photograph. You put it through your machine, and then what happens? You see what's happening.
The instrument has been calibrated to balance the chakras. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, it's taken a lot of engineering, it's taken a lot of study, but I now understand how to use this energy to balance the brain waves and chakras. There is a technique that I've now perfected to destroy, to break apart germs, viruses, bacteria, parasites. All of this represents my 30 years of hands-on experience with these instruments, perfecting these processes. Again, this is a new and emerging science. Nobody has my instruments, they're custom built. So my approach is unique. Now, my point in mentioning this is to share this with the audience so that the world can benefit. Right now, only a few people are benefiting from that. That's not my intent. My intent is to work with everybody in the world.
And so now you talk about photographs. So can you put, if I were to take a picture of my whole entire family, can you run a group photo through your instrumentation and their individualized results or individual directional energetic treatment?
That's a good point. Consider my instrument works like a satellite. And if a satellite can specific to say GPS unit or a television dish, then likewise, my instrument can send signals to people around the world by way of their photograph. Now, all of that really leads itself into considering that this information is that specific, that these are not generalized instructions, these are specific instructions to each event, to each person, or to each animal. And with that in mind, the energy, I believe it's a divine energy, is self-directed. In other words, I don't have to instruct this energy. She knows what to do. Now, this is the beauty of with a computer, you have to program a computer. A car, you have to program a car. Okay, a robot, you still have to compute, you have to program, everything requires programming. I don't program the energy. Scalar energy is self-knowing. So it really is the mind of God.
So I want to jump in there. So am I right in hearing that anything that is based off of an electromagnetic field or electromagnetic energy has to have some level of programming put into it? So let's go back to original radio stations or original TV.
Right.
There are programmers who would have to make sure that they were generating an output at a certain frequency and then amplify it so it would travel over a certain amount of distance through a certain amount of time to get received on the other end. Am I dumbing that down the right way?
Yeah.
Right?
So let me add to that. So with my instrument, I don't have to check the modulation or the frequency. This energy is everywhere. I simply have to direct it to a photograph. That's all I have to do. And the energy itself is self-propagating. The energy itself will reach that photograph, reach that person by way of a photograph. I don't have to calibrate. I don't have to program the energy. It already knows what to do.
And that's because, let's bring this simple but forgotten fact back in. In our previous show, you talked about that our world is focused on one type of energy. That's electromagnetic. Newton's laws, Einstein's laws, that kind of thing. What we've been taught to believe. But what you're saying is there's an alternative. There's a second type of energy that doesn't get as much play. It doesn't get top billing. It exists and it's divine, and everybody has access to it. Everybody has it within them, but it's often forgotten about or dismissed because it doesn't fall into the Newton's laws of physics. Is that right?
That's That's accurate.
Okay, so electromagnetic energy at some level has to be programmed, managed, dispersed, amplified in order for it to be received
Yes.
and filtered and cleaned up, and divine energy doesn't. And I want
Correct.
to pause on that for a minute, because in our last show, we kind of equated it to prayer, right?
Yes, it
If
is.
you believe in prayer, and if you believe that over a long distance, if you hear about someone and you want to offer them energy or offer them prayer, all you have to do is think about them, focus on them, and the prayer gets received, right? So essentially, we're drawing a metaphor between the two. Is that right?
Yes, and I love the metaphor. Why? You don't need a satellite dish to pray. You don't need an antenna to pray. You don't need an expensive apparatus to pray. And that's what my instrument is. It really is the scientific analog of prayer. So when I'm working with people around the world by way of their photograph, you become the dish, the satellite dish. You receive the energy. Now, mind you, I don't have to build an infrastructure. The universe is the satellite. You are the satellite dish, or you are the GPS unit receiving that energy. There is no physical infrastructure to build. It pre-exists. It's the energy or intelligence of the universe. So if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, you have to build telephone wires, cell phone towers, satellites. It's an expensive proposition, all of this infrastructure. With scalar energy, there is no infrastructure. It's you tap into the intelligence of the universe. It already pre-exists.
You know, and in transparency, on our last show, I told you up front, I was kind of an uninformed skeptic. Now I feel like I'm more informed. The last thing you told me, which really just, it created a light bulb for me, was I said I was going home to family. You know, we all know that when we get to family, there can always be stress, there can always be chaos, there can always be some anxiety. And you challenged me. You said, what if you just opened your heart? What if you just came in with an open mind? Not in mind like, oh, but what if you just allowed positive energy to support your visit, to open your mind to what's possible, and to receive whatever comes at you? Do you remember that? I mean, that was like the last minute of our conversation. And I feel like for me, that was a connecting aha that has moved me from complete 100% skeptic because I'm ignorant and I don't know, to, that's interesting. Now what? So you want to jump in there? Do you want to tag on to that at all?
Okay. And that's, let me segue into that. Meaning what? If this is a new technology, just consider what's being said. Now, bear in mind, we're working with non-physical energy, okay? And it's not as if you're going to see satellites and if you will, certain types of infrastructure. You simply tap into the intelligence of the universe. That's why this is so sublime. You know, if it's God's energy, and I say it is, then it cannot have any mistakes. As opposed to programming, whether it's computer programming or artificial intelligence, or, you know, let's face it, your car breaks down every once in a while. Why? It needs to be repaired. It's a physical instrument or machine that needs to be repaired. As opposed to scalar energy, there's no physical component to it. It's pure energy. It never breaks down. It's always there. So it is the analog of prayer. It is the analog of human thought. What have I tapped into? I have tapped into the realm of thought, the realm of prayer, and it's perfect. It's without fault. It's perfect energy.
Well, and we're at a point where, you know, this is new technology and how we interpret the data and apply the data, but it's not new in terms of that it's been around. The energy itself has been around forever. So I know that one of the things you want to do is you want to put this into the hands of people, and you want to share this with people. And the best way to do that is to give all of our listeners access to the free gift that you provided, which is 15 days of a free trial, and they can access that. Tell them where your website is and how people can connect with you.
So keep in mind, we work with everybody by way of a photograph. You're going to email us your photograph. The website is scalarlight.com. Anybody can visit the website. If you like, you can send us photographs of your entire family, include your pet. And for a span of 15 days, we will provide sessions, daily sessions in which we'll balance your chakras. We will perform what I call a pathogenic cleanse, a germ cleanse, and we will also be able to create nutrients. All of that is done by way of scalar energy, by way of your photograph. That's the new science. That's the quantum science.
Right. And we only have a couple minutes left, but I know that you have received some testimonials from some people who were fighting a couple of pathogenic diseases. Herpes, I think, was one of them. And so I want to encourage our listeners, if you're remotely curious, connect with Tom. If you're skeptical, connect with Tom. If you have bumped up against a lot of traditional medical healing and you're not getting anywhere, connect with Tom. You're not going to lose anything if you connect with him and get more informed about a new opportunity or a different way of looking at things. And at the minimum, you might just be on the cusp edge of changing your life. Right, Tom?
Yeah, I would say so. It's so advanced, this energy. It's so sublime. There really is no comparison between scalar energy and electromagnetic energy. It's the perfect energy. It's the perfect intelligence. Invariably, everybody benefits from a scalar energy session because it's perfect intelligence.
Right. I don't know how to top that. We've got about, 30 seconds left or so. Do you want, let's let you have the last word and then I'll close this out. Last thing you want everybody to know about you or what we're doing here.
You know, I'm a humanitarian and I want to help people. So help me introduce this new technology, scalar energy, to the world.
Right. And you're also looking for charities and other people that are committed to health improvements in groups of people, underserved people, that kind of thing. So if anybody's listening to this and they have questions for Tom, you can reach him at scalarlight.com. And you can reach me at dianemcclay.com, and we can certainly redirect you to the right people. Tom, I appreciate our conversations. I learned something new from you every single time. As always, I'm Diane McClay, and you can always empower your life by engaging your choice. Tom, thank you for being here. I hope we talk again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for listening to The Diane McClay Show, where you are empowered to enact change in your life through choice. You know that little voice in your head that's been telling you to pursue that passion project? Or maybe it's been screaming for you to go outside and explore the great outdoors. That voice is you, and you deserve to be heard. Listen, make a choice, make a change, and watch yourself grow. For more information about Diane or to work with her personally, visit dianemcclay.com.